Today we're going to have a look at how we can just get everything started with some real basics in P5 using JavaScript. And you'll notice that we've got this draw function up here, and then we've got our open and close curly bracket, and then inside that, that's where we're going to write our code that is going to be run. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a canvas. Notice the lowercase c at the beginning and then the uppercase c there. And inside this function, I'm going to pass a couple of arguments. So I want to say how many pixels along the x-axis and how many pixels along the y-axis I want to do. So that's 400 by 400. Now when I click on run, you'll see that nothing has happened. Let's add in a background color. Let me just make this 0 to begin with, and let's see what happens. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. So you'll see that it's got the value. Remember, this is the same as 0 red, 0 blue, and 0 green there, or 0 green, 0 blue. Let's make it white, so let's make it look a little bit like this. Okay, great. So this here is for me to create the canvas, and it's on the width and height, and then this is just the background color that I wanted to have in there. You'll notice I'm also adding in some comments for my code here. Now this is really useful for when you come back to look at your code, or if you're a bit stuck, just helping you, identify what kind of the bit of code is doing. We use these kind of double slash like this, and you could do one kind of comment at the top, just setting up the canvas, for example, or you could do this kind of inline comment like this. Let's have a look at something else now. I want to draw a square on my canvas. Now, we use the rect function that looks a little bit like this. It's short for rectangle, because all squares are, in fact, rectangles mathematically. There is a square function, but actually rect is better because then you can tweak things later on. There's a little bit more kind of variety with what you can do. So with the rect function, you need to pass in some arguments. Now, if you're ever a bit stuck, one of the best things you can do is go and have a look at the reference for it. Now, p5.js.org has got some great resources on it for going and checking what it is that you want to have a learn. So let me just type in here rect, and it will come up. Okay, great, this is what I'm looking for, rect here, and it tells you, just explains a little bit about what you're going to pass in. It's got some examples and some visuals here, so you can kind of see like how it goes along. But I can see here that we need to pass in so a rectangle is a four-sided shape defined by the x, y, w, and h. So width and height parameters. X and y set the location of its top left corner, w sets its width, and h sets its height. So let's put this, let me just start this at 50, 50, and I'm going to make it 50 pixels wide, and I'm going to make it 100 pixels long. Okay, so when I click run, you'll see then that I've got this outline of this shape. Let's just play around this a bit. If I change these values here, you can see then, okay, then it's drawn the other way. If they are exactly the same, good, then it just draws the square for me. Let me just change this value here of the x, and you can see, okay, it's moved it along a little bit. Now I might want to do a fill, because I might not want it the same as the background color. So let me try adding in a fill of, let's just play around with these. Just remember to do the semicolon. So these are RGB colors. Okay, good. Let's draw a yellow square there. Let's just try playing around with this a little bit more. There we are. I've got a pink square that has been drawn. So this is my code to draw a square. So we've got here the x the y values, we've then got the width, and then the height. And that's really, really good. So this is one of the powerful things about P5. So instead of me having to go and write the code for how I want the rectangle to be drawn, P5 as a library comes with this pre-written code. So things like rect or ellipse that we saw, things like that is really, really powerful. So we don't have to go and code everything ourselves. It just comes, and we can then adapt it by adding in our own values in here, like the x, the y, width, the height, and the fill, and we can do other things as well. But that's just a very brief introduction. I'm sure you can see then how you could, for example, draw a circle. Let's have a go at that. So let me fill my circle in with some random colors here, and remember the thing. Let's just see if we can go back to the p5.js and have a look. Okay, ellipse, what does it say that we need to do here for ellipse? Ellipse is a round shape defined by the x, y, w, and h parameters. X and y set the location of its center. Okay, so that's interesting, it's a bit different. W and h sets its width and height. So in fact, do you know what? If I copied all of this, let's have a look at what it's doing. So you'll notice there that the center of this ellipse is the same as the top left. Even though we've put in the same values, the 150 and 50, it's the center is where it measures it from, and again 100, 100. Let's try changing these. Let's just see what happens when we do that. Okay, so now we can see the width is 200 for this ellipse. It's not a circle anymore. So that's why the ellipse function is powerful. Same for the rect. So if I made this 150, you can see you can very quickly turn a square into a rectangle, or you can turn a circle into an ellipse just by changing these values in here. So we've there had a look at how we can create a canvas, think about the background of the canvas, think about the x and the y, and think about the red, green, and blue values. We've added some comments in, and then we've looked at using the rectangle and ellipse for ellipse, and we've also had a look at the p5.js kind of the descriptions and the references here, which I think is really, really powerful.